My name is Eva, and I'm 27 years old. And I'll never forget the way they looked at me that night. Like I didn't belong. Like I was some charity case who should have been grateful just to be sitting at their table. But that night, that dinner where they laughed and whispered and made little side comments, that was the night they found out I owned the place. Funny thing is, I never wanted revenge. I just wanted peace. But some people can't let you have that. They want to remind you over and over where they think you belong. It started with an invitation. My cousin Tara had messaged me on a Wednesday night out of the blue. "Hey girl, it's been forever. We're doing a big family dinner Saturday. Would love to see you there." I stared at the message for a while. The last time I'd heard from her was, almost 4 years ago. Back when everything fell apart. When I left the family group chat without a word. I guess I wasn't useful to them anymore back then. Still, something about her message seemed gentle. Like maybe, just maybe, they missed me. So I said yes. Big mistake. The dinner was being held at a new upscale restaurant downtown, called Bennett's. High ceilings, golden light, and the kind of quiet that made you lower your voice without meaning to. I smiled a little when I saw the name, because I knew a secret they didn't. But we'll get to that. When I walked in, I wasn't dressed like them. Tara was in this sleek off-shoulder dress, her husband dripping in watches and car keys. My uncle wore cufflinks that screamed money. Even the kids were in branded outfits. Me. I wore a deep navy blouse and black slacks. Nothing flashy. Nothing loud. Just me. Tara's eyes scanned me from head to toe, and that little twitch in her mouth. Caught it. "Eva. Oh wow, you came. I didn't think you would," she said, hugging me stiffly. "I almost didn't," I said honestly. But figured it was time. I sat down at the far end of the table, near Aunt Valerie and my youngest cousin Max. No one made space at the center, the important seats as my family liked to pretend. No one offered me a drink. No one asked how I'd been. And it was fine. I'd expected cold shoulders. I just hadn't expected the whispers. Started after the first course. Valerie leaned toward Tara, not knowing I could hear. "Did you see her shoes? Worn down at the heel. Poor thing." Tara let out a soft laugh. "She's probably still working retail. No shame in that, I guess." I didn't say anything. Just kept cutting into my salad, pretending not to hear. Pretending my chest wasn't burning. Max, sweet kid that he was, nudged me gently. "Hey, Eva. I remember you helped me with my science fair when I was 7. He said with a shy grin. Smiled back. "You made a volcano explode in the school gym." He laughed, and for a moment, just one, I felt like I mattered again. Until dessert. That's when my uncle made the comment. "So, Eva, what do you do these days?" I took a sip of my water. "I run things here and there," I said calmly. "Mostly business." He raised an eyebrow. "Business, huh? Sounds vague." Tara chuckled. "Yeah, last I remember, you were folding clothes at that outlet mall." Everyone laughed. Even Aunt Valerie. Max looked uncomfortable. I felt something crack inside me. And that's when it happened. The waiter arrived. Tall guy, sharp haircut, black apron, holding a small leather-bound folder. But instead of giving it to my uncle or Tara or anyone else, he walked straight to me. "Miss Bennett," he said, voice polite but clear. "Just wanted to say, welcome back. The team's thrilled to have you here again. Your usual table's available if you'd prefer it." The table went silent. My uncle's fork froze midair. Tara blinked. "Wait," she said. "Miss what?" I smiled, small, calm, but full of things I never got to say over the years. "Eva Bennett," I said, wiping my lips gently. "Owner." The silence that followed was almost musical. I leaned back slightly. "I bought this place last year. Quiet investment. I guess no one reads the business section." My uncle cleared his throat. Valerie's mouth opened, then shut. Tara. She looked like she'd swallowed a lemon. But me. Felt light. Years of being dismissed. Forgotten. Looked down upon. All of it floated away in that moment. I didn't need to be loud. I didn't need to brag. The facts spoke for themselves. And that was only the beginning. Because what my family didn't know, what no one at that table knew, was that this restaurant wasn't just a vanity project. It was a front. And something much deeper was hidden in its foundation. Something they all would come to learn. In time. But before I tell you that, tell me something first. Would you have stayed at that table? Or walked out with your dignity? Let me know in the comments. And if you're over 18 and into real, emotional revenge stories like this, you're gonna want to subscribe. 'Cause trust me, this was just the appetizer. And listen, if you're grown, really grown, if you've seen what betrayal looks like behind a polite smile, if you understand that real revenge isn't about violence, it's about truth that refuses to be silenced, then subscribe right now. Because this story, it's just the beginning. The thing about secrets is, they don't stay buried forever. Especially not the kind I was carrying. After the waiter left, I could feel everyone's eyes on me. My uncle was the first to recover. "Wait, you own this place?" he asked, half laughing like it was a joke he hadn't quite understood. "Yes," I said plainly. "For almost 9 months now." "But how?" Tara cut in, her voice sharp. "I mean, where did you even get the money?" That right there. That tone. Like I wasn't capable. Like my success was some kind of accident or lie. I didn't flinch. I just folded my napkin neatly. "I built something," I said. Quietly. While no one was watching. And they weren't watching. Not when I worked 3 jobs to keep my apartment. Not when I used my nights to study business strategy on borrowed library Wi-Fi. Not when I launched a tiny online store that turned into a consulting gig. Then a real company. Then multiple. But I didn't owe them the whole story. Not yet. "Well," Aunt Valerie muttered, trying to recover. "Isn't that just lovely?" Max looked proud. That meant more to me than all the fake smiles at that table. But the vibe had shifted. And not in a good way. I could feel their energy tightening. Like they were recalibrating how to treat me now. Tara leaned in. "You know, Eva, maybe we should talk sometime. I've been meaning to get into some investments myself. You could give me some tips." There it was. The switch from snarky cousin to opportunist. "Maybe," I said coolly. "We'll see." I wasn't being cruel. Just careful. Because Tara had always been a fair-weather relative. And I was no longer in the business of handing out my time for free. Dessert was served. A lavender creme brulee I'd personally insisted the chef add to the menu when I took over. Tara picked at hers like it had betrayed her. And then came the question that changed everything. My uncle cleared his throat. "You know, Eva, your dad would have been proud." My breath caught. My father. He died 4 years ago. Heart attack. Sudden. And none of them, not one, had called me after the funeral. I'd sat there alone in the back pew, while they pretended I was just furniture. Now they wanted to invoke him. "Don't," I said, quieter than I expected. "Don't bring him up. Not tonight." The table went quiet again. Even the waiter seemed to feel the shift in air. But I wasn't done. "You all disappeared after he passed. Like I vanished too. Until tonight. I hadn't heard from any of you. And now that you know what I do, now I'm suddenly worth texting again." Tara's eyes narrowed. "That's not fair." "No," I said. "What's not fair is rewriting history. You all wrote me off the moment I struggled." The silence was thick, heavy, and yet freeing. I felt like I was finally saying what had been sitting on my chest for years. But there was something else I hadn't told them. Something that mattered more than ownership or money or even closure. My father had left something behind. Something I'd only discovered after he passed. In a sealed envelope hidden inside a floorboard beneath his old desk. Name. One I didn't recognize. And a deed. To a place I'd never been. That was the beginning of the real story. The one even I hadn't fully uncovered yet. "Eva," Max whispered. "Is it true you have a company?" I smiled at him. "Oh, honest. Yes. A few, actually." "That's so cool." I wanted to cry. Because that one sentence. It felt more real than anything anyone else had said all night. As I stood to leave, I looked around the table one last time. I hope the food was good, I said gently. But next time, if you ever really want to see me, ask me to dinner because you miss me. Not because you think I owe you something. I started walking toward the door. Wait, Tara called out. Where are you going? I turned slightly, hand on the doorframe. Somewhere I'm actually welcome. And then the waiter stopped me. Again. He handed me a folded note. Had my name on the front. In handwriting I hadn't seen since I was a teenager. My heart skipped. I turned to ask where he got it, but he was already gone. Opening it, my hands shook. Inside was a message. Eva, if you're reading this, it means you found the truth. But there's more. Look under the name Marlowe at the county office. Trust no one, not even family. Dad. My world tilted. Marlowe. Who, or what was that? And why did Dad not want the family to know? One thing was clear. This dinner was never the end. It was the beginning of a story I didn't even know I was in. If you've ever uncovered a family secret that changed everything, you already know how this feels. Tell me, would you keep going? Even if it meant facing the people who hurt you. When I got home that night, I didn't turn on the lights. I just sat there, in silence, clutching that letter like it was about to dissolve if I breathed too hard. Trust no one, not even family. I kept rereading that part, over and over. Dad had always been the one person who made me feel seen, even when the rest of them looked at me like I was invisible. When he passed, I thought I'd buried everything with him. The love, the trust, the security. But now, somehow, it felt like he was still here, leaving clues. And suddenly, that note made the weirdness at dinner feel even sharper. The waiter. How did he even have that letter? Why did he wait until after the meal to hand it to me? Why call me Miss Bennett like it was more than a job title? Something was off. And it wasn't just my family's fake affection. I opened my laptop, typed Marlowe into the county land records. Thousands of results. But only one tied to my dad's name. Plot of land. Middle of nowhere. No listed address. Just a series of coordinates and a legal description that sounded like a ghost town. I stared at the screen, heart racing. What were you hiding, Dad? I didn't sleep that night. Next morning I packed a small bag, left a note on my desk in case something happened. And I drove. The location was just over 2 hours away. Winding roads, no signage, no GPS past a certain point. It felt like following breadcrumbs left in a dream. When I finally pulled into a dirt clearing, I half expected there to be nothing. But there it was. A small, broken-down cottage. No mailbox. No power lines. Just silence. And a single name burned into a wooden plaque over the porch. Marlowe. My stomach turned. I stepped out of the car slowly, gravel crunching beneath my feet. The door creaked open with one push. Inside it smelled like cedar, old paper and dust. No furniture. No pictures. Just a bare wooden floor and a single metal filing cabinet against the back wall. I walked toward it, legs shaking. The cabinet was locked, but someone had wedged a small metal key into the side, taped there like they knew one day I'd come. Fit perfectly. Inside I found manila folders. Dozens. All labeled. All organized. All bearing names I'd never seen. Except for one. Tara Holbrook. My cousin. My hands trembled as I pulled the file. Photos. Invoices. Wire transfers. A copy of a legal document transferring ownership of something. From my dad to Tara? Whoa. That couldn't be right. I flipped through faster. Every page made my heart pound louder. Tara had convinced my dad, when he was sick, vulnerable, to sign over partial ownership of a company I'd never heard of. 3 months before his death. The same company that sold shortly after he passed. For millions. She never said a word. And none of that money ever reached me. A sharp crack of a twig outside made me freeze. Someone was out there. I slammed the drawer shut and backed away, grabbing my bag. Another step. Closer. I rushed out the back door and into the woods behind the house, praying they didn't see me. I didn't look back until I was in the car with the doors locked. But someone had been there, watching, maybe following. And I knew right then, this wasn't about dinner anymore. It wasn't even about inheritance or pride. It was about something much darker. Something Dad never had the chance to explain. When I got home, I scanned every document from that file, made copies, saved them in multiple cloud accounts under encrypted names. And then I sent a message. Tara, we need to talk. Privately. Not about dinner. About Marlo. She replied within minutes. I don't know what you're talking about. Liar. Then you won't mind meeting me. One-on-one. It took her longer to reply this time. Fine. Tomorrow. 3 p.m. Coffee bar off 9th. And just like that, the game began. I didn't want this. I didn't want war. But if she thought I was going to disappear quietly like before, she didn't know who I'd become. You ever dig up something about your family that made you question everything? Your memories, your love, your entire childhood. I'm right there now. And if you've ever felt this kind of betrayal, you get what I'm feeling. So tell me something. Would you confront her? Or go straight to the authorities? I'm at the edge right now. And if you're still listening, maybe we're more alike than I thought. If you're grown and want more of what's coming next, you know what to do. Because this wasn't even the twist yet. The next day I showed up 10 minutes early. Coffee bar off 9th looked exactly the same. Same crooked chalkboard menu, same jazz playing low in the background, same barista with a nose ring who gave 0 smiles but made a mean latte. Used to be my place. Back when I still believed that hard work and loyalty mattered more than bloodlines. Now I was here for answers. I picked a corner seat with a full view of the door. Old habit. You learn to read rooms fast when you've had years of being underestimated. Tara arrived exactly on time. Sunglasses, too much perfume, and a designer handbag that probably cost more than the monthly rent in this part of town. She spotted me and offered that same tight-lipped smile she used at dinner. Eva, she said, sliding into the chair across from me. You look well. You look expensive, I replied, stirring my drink slowly. Her eyes narrowed, but she laughed. Oh, what is this really about? I didn't waste time. Marlo. The documents. My father's company. The signatures. You know exactly what I'm talking about. Her face twitched. Just for a second. Like her poker face slipped. Look, if you're trying to accuse me of something. I'm not trying. I am. She looked around. The coffee shop was half full, but no one was listening. Eva, you have no idea what you're getting into. There it was. That thinly veiled warning. Oh, I think I do, I said calmly. Because someone followed me yesterday. Out at Marlo. She stiffened. That place is private. It was my father's, I said, until you tricked him into signing it over. She leaned in, dropping the fake charm. He was losing his mind, Eva. You think I wanted that? I was trying to keep things stable. He was talking about hiding things, burying files, and shutting the whole thing down. I just stepped in. By stealing it from his daughter. By protecting it, she hissed. You wouldn't understand. You were gone. You ran. That hit a nerve. 'Cause she wasn't wrong. After Dad died, I did run. From everything. Grief. Guilt. And yeah, the truth. But that didn't make her right. I may have run, I said slowly. But I'm back now. And I'm not leaving until I know the full story. She looked down at her coffee, hands trembling slightly. There are people involved, she whispered. Bigger than me. Bigger than you. People who wanted what your dad built, but not the way he built it. I stared at her. What are you talking about? She sighed. Marlo wasn't just a company. It was a shelter. For people. Like us. That stopped me. Like us. She nodded. People who didn't fit into clean family stories. Dad had secrets. Yours did too. And Marlo was how they fixed things. Quietly. Fixed what, Tara? Mistakes. Reputations. Hidden children. Illegitimate ties. Your dad was part of a cleanup network. Until he wasn't. I blinked, my blood running cold. Hidden children. My chest tightened. Are you saying? I'm not. I don't know what I'm saying, she said, suddenly panicked. I was just told to make sure the transfer went through before he could shut it all down. Told by who? She looked around again, eyes darting like prey. Eva, please, just walk away. You're not ready for this. You were never supposed to find out. But it was too late. The door jingled. 2 men entered. Dark. Sharp. Not from around here. Tara saw them and went pale. Oh God, she whispered. They followed me. I grabbed her wrist. We're leaving. Now. We slipped out the back into the alley. My car was parked 2 blocks down. We ran. Halfway to the car, Tara gasped. If they catch me. They won't. Eva, there's something else. Something I didn't say. Now is the time. She looked at me, eyes terrified. Your dad, he wasn't just part of it. He founded Marlowe. He created the whole damn thing. And he kept one final file. Hidden. With your name on it. Where? In the vault. Below the restaurant. I stopped cold. Bennett's. She nodded. He built it over the original Marlowe records. He used the restaurant as cover. You own it now. Which means you're the only one who can open it. I stared at her, stunned. My dad hadn't left me nothing. He'd left me everything. And now, they wanted it back. You ever uncover a truth that felt too big for you? Like your whole life wasn't what you thought. And now you're holding a thread that could unravel everything. That's where I am right now. Shaking. Angry. Terrified. But clear. Tell me something. If you found out your whole family history was a cover-up, would you chase the truth? Or bury it again? Drop it in the comments. And if you're 18 or older and want to see how deep this goes, just hit subscribe. Because next, I'm unlocking that vault. And I may not come back the same. That night, I stood in the restaurant after hours. Alone. All the lights were off except one. The warm golden chandelier that hung low over table 6. The one my family had sat at. I stared at it for a long time. Not because it held meaning but because it used to. The memories were beginning to rot. And it was time I dug deeper. The restaurant was closed. No staff. No music. Just me and the silence. I walked to the back office. The one I rarely entered. Dad had designed it himself, Tara said. Claimed the vault was under it. At first glance, it looked like any other small office. Filing cabinets, old financials, a desk I never used. But something about the carpet felt different. I got on my knees and pulled it back. There it was. A rectangular slab of dark metal, flush with the hardwood. No keyhole. No digital pad. Just a fingerprint scanner. My heart pounded. Because I remembered, vaguely, Dad taking me here when I was 17. Late one night after closing. Touch it, he'd said. Why? Just in case, Ev. One day you'll understand. I placed my fingers on the scanner. It blinked green. And unlocked with a faint mechanical hiss. My stomach dropped. A trapdoor lifted slowly, revealing a narrow staircase descending into darkness. I grabbed the flashlight from the desk drawer and began to climb down. The air changed immediately. Cooler. Older. Smelled like stone and time. The stairs led to a concrete basement no bigger than a 2-car garage. In the center, a fireproof cabinet with a brass plaque. Marlowe Records, founder Richard Bennett. My dad hit me then. He didn't just build this restaurant for income. He built it as a gate. I opened the cabinet. Inside were 7 binders. Heavy. Each labeled by year, 1997 through 2003. And tucked between them, a leather envelope, with my name. I pulled it out, hands trembling. Inside, letter, photograph, and a sealed envelope addressed to the true beneficiary. I read the letter first. Eva, if you're here, I'm gone. And that thought breaks me. But you deserve the truth, all of it. You are not who they say you are. And neither am I. I've made choices to protect you from the Marlowe bloodline, but that time is up. What you've inherited is not just a restaurant. It's a legacy. And a responsibility. They will come for you now. Stay alert. Trust no one. Except maybe the boy who always brought you extra whipped cream. He's been with us longer than you know. Stop. My breath hitched. The waiter. I stared into the shadows. Was he part of this? Was he watching me even now? Read on. Inside this envelope is the key to everything. But once opened, you can't turn back. It's up to you now. Be smart. Be stronger than I was. Tears streamed down my face. I opened the sealed envelope labeled, True Beneficiary. Inside were legal documents, names I didn't recognize, shell corporations, and one terrifying revelation. I wasn't my father's only child. I had a half-sibling, born in 1994. A girl. And she had vanished. Her name had been scrubbed. No digital trail. Just a line in my father's handwriting. She's still out there. If you find her, protect her. They want her silenced. I backed away slowly, heart in my throat. Another child. Another secret. Another reason they'd lied to me my whole life. The door at the top of the stairs creaked. A step. Low. Bushes. I turned off the flashlight. Held my breath. A voice whispered down into the darkness. Eva. The waiter. I know you found it, he said calmly. I can help. But we don't have much time. I stepped out of the shadows. Who are you? He stepped down slowly, hands raised. My name is Aaron. I used to work for your dad. He left me instructions. If you ever came looking, I was to guide you. Guide me where? To the girl. Have you ever had your world flip in one night? Where everything you thought you knew about your family just crumbled. Because now I know why they laughed at me at that dinner. It wasn't about money. It was about fear. Fear that I'd find what they buried. And now I have. So let me ask you, would you go chasing a half-sibling who may not want to be found? Or stay in the safety of what you know? If you've ever had to make a choice between comfort and truth, you'll understand. Tell me what you would do. Because next, I'm going to find her. And the world I thought I knew may never look the same again. Aaron stood there at the bottom of the steps like he belonged in the darkness. Like he'd been waiting for this moment for years. Maybe he had. You worked for my dad? I asked, my voice shaky but steady enough to pass. He nodded once. Security, logistics, mostly behind the curtain. He trusted me more than anyone left alive. That line hit me. Left alive. Aaron looked up at me carefully. Eva, Marlowe wasn't just a secret. It was a threat to people who built their legacies on lies. Your dad tried to shut it down. They made sure he never got the chance. You're saying he was killed? Not by violence, he said, but by manipulation. They pushed him until his heart gave out. And now they're doing the same to you. I staggered back a step. I knew Dad's death was sudden, but I never questioned the heart attack. Not once. But now I was wondering if it was a setup from the very beginning. Aaron held out a small folder. Inside were photos. Old, grainy, but clear enough. Pictures of meetings, people shaking hands, and one man who kept appearing again and again. A silver-haired man with dark eyes and a half-smile. Aaron tapped his face. That's Franklin West. Who is he? Your father's original partner. Co-founder of Marlowe. And the reason your half-sister vanished. I couldn't breathe. Where is she now? Last confirmed sighting was in Nevada 5 years ago. But she changes names. Locations. She doesn't want to be found. I gripped the binder with my name on it. Why? What did they do to her? She saw something. Something that would collapse the legacy Franklin West spent his life building. If she talks, it all comes down. Then we need to find her, I said, voice firm. Aaron gave me a long look. Finding her is the easy part. Convincing her to trust you. That's going to take more than blood. He nodded. Where do we start? The next morning I boarded a flight to Reno. I didn't tell Tara. I didn't tell Max. I didn't even check my messages. This wasn't a family vacation. It was a rescue mission. Aaron came with me. He said he had a contact in Nevada, someone who worked with my sister for a brief time at a shelter under a different name. Her alias, Claire Winters. Claire. That name sounded like paper, like a person made up to survive. But I had to meet her. I had to see her face. The shelter was 2 hours outside the city, tucked into the corner of a desert town that looked more like a movie set than real life. Faded gas station. Tea motel. Dry heat that felt like judgment. I walked in. A woman in her 50s looked up from behind a metal desk. "Can I help you?" "I'm looking for someone," I said. "Claire Winters. She used to volunteer here." The woman paused. "You family?" "Yes," I said without hesitation. "I'm her sister." That word tasted strange on my tongue. She stared at me for a moment, then slid open a drawer and pulled out a faded photo. "That her?" He nodded. She looked like me, only wilder. More sunburned. More tired. But the same jawline. Same cautious eyes. She left 2 years ago. No goodbye. But she left this behind. She handed me a book. An old paperback with the cover torn off. Inside was a sticky note that said just one thing. "Eva, if you found this, stop. You don't know what you're walking into." My heart pounded. She knew I'd come. She knew exactly who I was. Aaron looked over my shoulder. "She's scared. She's watching you. She might even be close." I scanned the room. Nothing. But a sliver of movement caught my eye outside the window. A girl. Brown hoodie. Long strides. Head down. "That's her," I said, already running for the door. By the time I reached the street, she was gone. No trace. Just a red ribbon tied to a mailbox across the street. I walked over and untied it. There was another note inside the box. "They're tracking you. Leave now or you'll lead them to me." I turned to Aaron, breath shaking. "She's right. They'll follow me straight to her. Then we throw them off." That night we set up a decoy. Aaron booked a hotel in my name, paid in cash, and let it slip, very publicly, that we'd be headed south to Vegas in the morning. Meanwhile, I rented a rusted sedan under a different name and drove north. To the one place that made no sense to anyone but me. Cliff House. My father's favorite getaway spot. It wasn't in any records. It was only in my memory. He used to take me there when I was little, before the world became complicated. As I pulled up to the dusty cabin by the cliffs, I didn't expect anything, just needed time to think. But when I stepped inside, I saw a backpack, worn, light blue, and a girl sitting on the floor with her back against the wall, holding a small knife. She didn't flinch when she saw me. She just said one word, "Eva." And for the first time in my life, I looked into the eyes of the sister I never knew existed. Some moments change you. Not with drama, not with shock, but with quiet recognition. That was one of those moments. We didn't hug. We didn't cry. We just stared. Two sides of a story someone tried to erase. And now it's time to piece it all together. But before I ask the questions I need answered, I have to ask you something. If you found the sibling they never told you about, would you trust them? Or would you wonder why they've been running this whole time? Tell me in the comments, because this story, it's not slowing down. And if you're grown enough to handle what's coming next, you know what to do. She stared at me like she already knew how I breathed. Like my presence had been playing on loop in her memory for years. I said the first thing that came to mind. "You look like him." She exhaled slowly, but her grip on the knife didn't loosen. "So do you." Silence stretched between us, long and tight. I sat down across from her, keeping my hands visible. "Claire." "Not anymore," she said. "I burned that name months ago. My name is Elise now." "Okay, Elise. You shouldn't have come." "I had to." She tilted her head. "Why?" "Because Dad left you a vault. Because some ghost from your past whispered my name. Because I deserve to know who I am. And who you are." That hit her. She looked away, down at her shoes. You really didn't know about me, huh? Not a clue. Not even a hint. She let out a breath that sounded more like a confession than a sigh. I used to watch you. From a distance. When I was 12, I saw you walking out of school with Dad. I wanted to scream your name. But he told me not to. My heart dropped. He visited you. Once a month. Secretly. Said you were the real family. And I was just the mistake. That cut through me like glass. That's not true. I know it's not. But back then, I believed it. So I kept running. I leaned forward slightly. Why did he hide you? She laughed, sharp and bitter. Because he was protecting me. And protecting you. From Marlowe. You were part of it too. I was the reason it started to fall apart. I stared. What do you mean? She pulled out a torn photo from her bag. 2 men in lab coats. A young girl strapped to a chair. Is blank. It was her. They used me. I don't know what they were testing. Memory suppression, emotional rewiring. I just know I was their favorite subject. And Dad found out too late. My throat tightened. Why didn't he pull you out? He tried. Franklin West caught him. Told him the deal was done. And if he went public, both his daughters would vanish. She looked at me then. Her eyes tired but razor sharp. So Dad faked the sale. Burned the paperwork. Hid me. Hid you. He spent his last years undoing every thread he ever spun. Made sense now. The documents. The buried files. The fear. He wasn't just leaving clues. He was protecting us while dying slowly. Why come here? Asked. Why not keep running? Because I saw your name in a news clip last week. Said you bought Bennett's. That you were taking your late father's legacy to the next level. And I knew it had begun. He nodded. You're right. And we're not running anymore. She stood suddenly. Then you'd better prepare yourself. For what? Franklin's not done. The companies, the shell networks, they still run programs like Marlowe. They just renamed it. And one of them is about to go public. That's why they're hunting you. I felt like the floor shifted under me. What do we do? She looked at me, then out the dusty window toward the cliffs. We hit them first. The plan formed faster than I expected. Because Elise had been planning for years. She had files. Locations. Everything Dad had tried to keep hidden, she had backed up. And now that I had ownership of the last legal tie to Marlowe, we had something they didn't. Leverage. We leak the documents. Yes. Not yet, she said. First we make them talk. You said Tara knew something. She's tangled up in it. She forged Dad's signatures. Got bought out. I think she's in deeper than she wants to admit. Then she'll give us Franklin. Hesitated. And if she won't? Elise's jaw tightened. Then we burn the whole thing to the ground. 2 days later we returned to the city. Quietly. Separately. I met Tara alone in the restaurant kitchen. The only place I knew had no cameras. She looked pale, paranoid. Like she hadn't slept since I left. Where have you been? She snapped. You know where. She glanced over her shoulder. Do they know you're back? Not yet. But they will. Tara rubbed her temples. You have no idea what you're dragging into your life. I think I do, I said. And I need names. Now. She hesitated. But when I slid a photo of Elise across the table, her face broke. Oh my God, she whispered. She's alive. You knew about her. Franklin made us swear to silence. We were told she didn't survive the testing. I didn't know. Who else knows? There's a list, she whispered. But it's encrypted. I don't have it. Then who does? Her voice dropped to a whisper. Your mom. That's when everything stopped. My mom. The woman who claimed to know nothing. Who cried for Dad but never mentioned his business. Who called me dramatic when I asked about the past. She had the list. I stood up. Where is she? Tara looked up at me slowly. She's at the lake house. But Eva, be careful. She's not who you think she is. You ever look back and realize every soft moment you clung to might have been rehearsed? That's where I'm at now. The truth is coming at me from angles I never expected. And if you're listening and you've ever felt like your life was someone else's script, just tell me in the comments. Would you go see her? The woman who raised you, knowing she might have been the one holding the final key all along? 'Cause I'm going. And if you're over 18, you know what to do. Stick with me. Because next, I'm knocking on her door. And I'm not sure I'll ever be the same after. The lake house was quiet. Too quiet. It always used to hum with summer air. Dragonflies, wind chimes, that screen door that never closed right. Now it felt like a memory someone had erased and stitched back together with fear. I parked the car a few houses down. Didn't want her seeing me coming. I didn't even know what I was walking into. Just that Tara had dropped a bomb. My mother had the list. The list of everyone involved in Marlowe. Everyone who had blood on their hands. I stepped up onto the porch. The wood groaned under my weight. It used to be Dad's job to fix that. Now it creaked like it was morning. I knocked once. Then again. The door opened slowly. And there she was. My mother. Perfect as ever. Cardigan, pearls, a book in one hand, reading glasses in the other. Like she stepped out of a magazine ad for Grace Under Pressure. She didn't look surprised to see me. Eva. Mom. Oz. Would you like some tea? No. I want the truth. Her jaw flexed. Just once. Then she stepped aside. Come in. I walked through the familiar hallway. Every photograph on the wall suddenly suspicious. Me as a baby. Me at graduation. Me with Dad. No Elise. No shadows. No cracks in the foundation, at least not the kind you frame. She sat down in the armchair by the fire. Same one she always used. You found her, she said quietly. He nodded. She remembers everything. Then you already know what I'm about to say. Say it anyway. She stared at the fire for a long time. Then she began. Your father and I were never a perfect couple. We married young, fell apart fast, but he was determined. Loyal, even when he shouldn't have been. Marlowe started as a solution to a problem. What problem? Shame, she said flatly. For him, for others. Marlowe was a place people sent their secrets. Pregnancies. Affairs. Blackmail. And your father. He was good at cleaning it up. And Elise. Her hand tightened around the armrest. Elise was the result of a deal gone wrong. A woman your father once tried to help. She died in childbirth. No one claimed the baby. And he couldn't leave her in the system. Blinked. So he took her. He hid her. Raised her in private facilities. Moved her every few years. I didn't meet her until she was 6. By then it was too late. Too late for what? To protect either of you. I sat forward. You have the list, don't you? She didn't answer. Mom, I said again, slower this time. Tara said you were the only one left with the names. Who they were, what they did. If Elise and I want to stop this, we need that list. She stared at me like she was seeing something old. Something she'd buried and didn't want unearthed. If I give it to you, you'll be hunted, she whispered. They won't stop until it's buried again. You'll lose everything. I've already lost everything. She looked away. And then, quietly, she got up and walked down the hall. Followed. She unlocked a small linen closet and pulled up the bottom floorboard. Inside, a metal box. She handed it to me. If you open it, there's no going back. I passed no going back 5 chapters ago. Back at the hotel, Elise and I sat on opposite beds, staring at the open box. Inside, a USB drive, an old flip phone, and a binder. Thick, handwritten, detailed. Elise picked up the phone. No battery. But taped inside the back was a note. If this rings, run. We looked at each other. Then opened the binder. Projects. Trial numbers. Objects. My hands shook as I flipped through. Politicians. Executives. Doctors who signed off on experimental procedures. And in the margin next to one set of files, my father's signature. He documented everything, Elise whispered. He wanted this known someday. Then we make it known. Are you sure? I turned to her, breathing hard. This is why he left me the restaurant. The vault. A letter. Not because he wanted me to carry the weight, but because he knew I could. We started uploading. Encrypted cloud backups, safe drops, timed email releases in case anything happened to us. By morning, half the names on that list were in motion, flying private, locking down accounts, disappearing into shadows. And we knew. They knew. It wasn't until 4 a.m. when the knock came. Elise and I froze. Aaron checked the hallway through the peephole. It's not them, he said. It's her. Tara. Disheveled. Crying. Holding a newspaper in her hand. They're saying I leaked it, she whispered as she stumbled in. My face is on the news, Eva. Did you leak it? No. But someone wanted it to look like I did. Franklin. She nodded, shaking. He's cleaning house. You need to end this. Or we're next. Elise stood up. Then we stop hiding. What does that mean? Asked. She held up the binder. We go public. Together. Faces. Evidence. All of it. You ever get to that moment where you know your life is about to split in two? The before. And the after. There. And if you've ever been on the edge of a truth that could break the world, you know what I'm feeling right now. So tell me, if you had the power to burn down a legacy built on secrets, even if it was your own family's, would you light the match? Drop your thoughts below. And if you're old enough to ride with me through the fallout, you know what to do. Because next, the world's going to hear what they tried to bury. And we're not whispering anymore. We didn't sleep. Not that night. The binder lay open on the motel desk like a loaded weapon, and none of us could stop staring at it. Because we all knew. Once this went public, none of us were walking back to the lives we had before. Aaron paced the room. Elise sat with her knees tucked to her chest. Tara chain-smoked by the window, eyes glassy. And me. I was just trying to remember who I was before any of this started. Before the dinner. Before the restaurant. Before the waiter said, "Welcome back, owner." I picked up the phone and called someone I hadn't spoken to in months. Mix. He picked up on the third ring, voice groggy. "Eva, I need a favor." 3 hours later, Max met us at a safe house 2 counties over. He worked for a media network. He owed me. He was also the one person I could trust to deliver this without twisting it for ratings. He looked at me like he hadn't fully processed who I was now. "You're really doing this?" "I don't think I have a choice." "You do. You always do." I handed him a flash drive. "This is everything. The experiments, names, my dad's records, Lisa's file. I need you to make sure it lands where it can't be ignored." Max stared at it for a long time. "You know this could bring down people with more power than we've ever touched. Then maybe it's time they fell." He agreed. And just like that, the plan was in motion. Max coordinated with a trusted journalist from a major investigative outlet. Someone who'd been chasing shadows around Marlowe for over a decade. Someone who had buried 3 stories when their sources mysteriously disappeared. Now finally he had something concrete. They were calling it the Marlowe Ledger. And in 72 hours it would be everywhere. Unless someone stopped it first. That night, I sat on the motel balcony alone. The stars were out. But they didn't feel peaceful. They felt like surveillance. Elise came out and sat beside me. "You scared?" "More than I want to admit." She was quiet for a while. "I used to dream about you." "Really?" "Yeah. I didn't know your name. I just imagined there was someone out there who looked like me, but safer. Softer. I imagined I had a sister," I whispered. "But I thought it was just a fantasy. Like something little girls make up." She smiled a little, but it didn't reach her eyes. "Maybe we dreamed each other into being. And now we're here. Together. About to destroy the house that raised us." "It was never a house," she said. It was a prison made to look like home. We didn't notice the car until it was too late. Black sedan. No plates. It turned into the parking lot like it belonged there. Aaron noticed first. Then Tara. Inside. Now, he barked. We rushed in. Elise grabbed the binder. I grabbed the flash drive backup. Tara grabbed her purse and went pale. There's a man in the car. I know him. He's from Franklin's security detail. The knock came 10 seconds later. Like an invitation, not a threat. Aaron peeked. Just one man. He alone? Yes. Not sure. Might be bait. Took a breath. Open it. I'll talk. Eva. Open it. The man wore a suit. No gun visible. But his smile was razor sharp. Miss Bennett, he said calmly. Franklin West would like a word. He's welcome to send an email like everyone else. He'd prefer something a little more private. Let me guess, I said. One of those meetings where people don't come back. His smile widened, but he didn't deny it. This doesn't have to end badly. You give us what you've found. Walk away. You and your friends live long, unbothered lives. And if I say no, then things become unfortunate. For everyone. I stepped forward. Tell Franklin he had his chance. And his empire's about to bleed. I slammed the door before he could respond. Aaron turned to me. That was bold. That was necessary. We packed fast. The drive to Max's office was tense, quiet. We kept checking the mirrors, half expecting a black car to show up at any moment. But we made it. Max met us outside and took us into a back entrance. The article was already in final layout. Legal had cleared it. It was going live in the morning. Are you sure? Max asked one last time. Do it. He clicked publish. And in that moment, everything changed. The fallout was immediate. News alerts. Explosions across social media. Dozens of executives stepped down. One was arrested on the tarmac trying to flee. Franklin West released a statement calling it a deep-fake conspiracy. But no one bought it. Especially not when one of his own former employees turned whistleblower the next day. Elise and I stayed hidden. For now. But we weren't afraid anymore. You ever carry the weight of silence so long that when it finally breaks, you forget how heavy it was? That's how this feels. Like I can breathe again. But there's one more chapter left in this story. Because as loud as our truth is now, Franklin's still out there. And the list. That was only one side of the coin. So I need to ask you something. Would you walk away now if it meant peace? Or would you finish it no matter what it cost? Drop your answer in the comments. And if you're grown enough to walk with me to the final confrontation, you already know what to do. Because next, I'm going face to face with the man who tried to erase me. I didn't sleep the night the story broke. The internet didn't sleep either. By morning, #Marlowe Ledger was trending across every platform. Former board members were being subpoenaed. 3 private security firms had cut ties with Franklin West's companies. But none of that mattered. Because Franklin hadn't run. He'd stayed quiet. Silent. Which meant one thing. He wasn't done. Max called just after sunrise. He wants a meeting. Franklin. Yeah. Says it's time for the last conversation. His words. Where? Your father's restaurant. The irony wasn't lost on me. The same place they laughed at me. Where they called me poor. Where the waiter had said, "Welcome back, owner." Now it was the stage for the final act. I dressed simple. Black jeans. Brady. Hair tied back. Elise wanted to come but I told her no. If I don't walk out, you finish this. Don't say that, she said. Say it for me. She didn't answer. Just hugged me. Like a sister. Like blood. The restaurant was locked when I arrived. A single light glowed over table 6. I walked in. Franklin West was already sitting there. Same silver hair. Same smug eyes. But now, they were tired. Edges cracking. He poured 2 glasses of wine. Miss Bennett, he said, gesturing to the seat across from him. Save the charm, I said. You're not going to make me forget what you did. He gave a tight smile. Oh, I don't expect you to forget. I just expect you to listen. Why? Asked. Why build something like Marlowe? He took a sip of wine before answering. Because people are messy. And power demands control. Your father understood that once. Before he grew a conscience. You used children. We used opportunity, he said coldly. And now you've turned it into scandal. But the truth is, Eva, this world needs shadows. Without people like us, the light you love so much would burn everything down. I clenched my fists. That's what psychopaths tell themselves to sleep at night. I sleep just fine. Not for long. He leaned forward. You've made noise. But noise fades. Headlines fade. And people. They get bored. What happens then? That's not my problem. Oh, but it is. 'Cause you opened a door. And if you don't keep it open, they'll close it behind you. You want justice. It's not in news articles. It's in power. Take it. He slid a manila envelope across the table. What is this? Ownership. Of everything your father built. The offshore accounts. The private servers. The data vaults. You could burn them down or run them right. I stared at it. Felt like a trick. Like temptation dressed up as inheritance. Why me? Because I'm done. My name is poison. Yours. Still matters. You could rebuild it. Make it clean. Make it shine. But it will always be built on blood. I stood up. Then maybe I build something new. He smirked. Not without cost. I've already paid it. And your sister. Froze. He knew. Touch her, I said, voice low and trembling. And I swear to God. No threats, he interrupted. Just truths. There is no clean exit from this. You think you've won. But you've only kicked up the dust. Let it settle, and you'll see me again. I turned to leave. But then I paused. You're wrong about one thing. What's that? This isn't about power. Never was. It's about choice. And you took that from too many people for too long. I walked out. Didn't look back. Didn't take the envelope. Outside the air hit different. Colder. But lighter. Elise was waiting by the car. Well. He tried to buy me. You take it. Not even close. She smiled. Then we end it our way. That night we held a live stream. No lawyers. No PR teams. Just two sisters side by side. Telling the story no one ever thought would surface. We showed the binder. The footage. The files. We said the names. The dates. The details. And when it was over, we gave it all away. Open source. Public. Unstoppable. You ever feel a world shift beneath your feet? Not like an earthquake. More like a soulquake. That's what it felt like when the last comment came in on our video. I was one of them. You saved me. There's one part left. One final page in this story. But before I write it, before I tell you how this ends, let me ask you one last thing. If you had the power to tear down something evil, would you stop at justice? Or would you reach for healing? Tell me. Because next, we decide what comes after the fire. The storm passed. Slowly. Not with celebration. Not with confetti. Just silence. And space to breathe. The kind of quiet you don't get until the lies are stripped away. Elise and I didn't speak much in those first few days after the world saw what they tried to hide. We didn't need to. There was peace in the space between us. We weren't secrets anymore. We weren't shadows. We were sisters. Franklin West had vanished. Some said he fled the country. Others claimed he had fake passports ready for years. One theory even said he was hiding in a mountain compound in Switzerland, protected by old money and new threats. I didn't care. He could disappear. The truth didn't. Because once you set fire to a machine built on silence, you don't have to keep fighting it. You just have to never let them build it again. I took a drive back to the lake house. Alone. No press, no cameras, no Elise. Just me. The place looked the same. But it didn't feel the same. I walked the rooms, touched the doorknobs, looked at old pictures differently now. Not with nostalgia, but with clarity. That house wasn't just my childhood home. It was a stage, a mask. Now I saw what was behind it. My mother had moved out weeks ago. She left a note on the kitchen counter. "I'm sorry for the years I stole from you. I don't expect forgiveness, but I hope you take back what was always yours. Love, Mom." There was no PS, no address, just a clean exit. Maybe that was her version of redemption. I let it be. The foundation we created, named after our father, was real now. We partnered with investigators, whistleblower attorneys, and trauma counselors. We gave survivors a name again. Place to start over. I wasn't running a restaurant anymore. I was running a revolution. But here's the part no one tells you. When you finish the story, when the truth is out, when the bad guys fall and the world claps, you're still you. You still have to look in the mirror. Still have to wake up without the war that gave you purpose. And that's where healing begins. In the silence. In the after. In the parts you write next. 1 week later, I returned to the restaurant. Not for a press conference. Not for some grand reopening. Just to sit at table 6. The place where they called me poor. The place where the waiter said, "Welcome back, owner." I wore no makeup. No heels. No armor. Just me. I ordered a coffee. The same waiter, now a friend, brought it with a grin. "Nice to see you, ma'am." Smiled. Nice to be seen. Across the room, I saw a young woman sitting alone, staring down at a resume. I walked over. "First time here." "Yeah," she said nervously. "Interviewing for the server job." "You got it," I told her. She blinked. "Wait, are you?" "I'm Eva," I said, extending a hand. "Welcome to a place built by truth. You ever come full circle so hard it feels like rewriting your fate? That's what this is. And if you've been with me since the beginning, since the dinner, since the shame, since the secrets, then I want to say something real to you right now. Don't just walk away. Don't just scroll to the next thing. Because if you are someone who believes in truth, if you're an adult who still believes justice has a heartbeat, if you want more stories like this, real ones, deep ones, the kind they try to bury, then I need you. Subscribe. Not for views, but because we're building something bigger than a story here. We're building voice. And what's coming next? It makes this story feel like the warm-up. 'Cause I have a list of stories no one else will tell. And you just proved you're the kind of person who listens until the very end. So stay with me. Subscribe now. And don't miss what's coming. Because this was just the beginning.